Hi, my name's Gordon Hisayasu, and I want to start Chapter 1, and it's going to be on the human brain. There's a reason I want to start with the human brain. For one thing, science calls the human brain one of the most complex designs in nature, and that makes it pretty important. And this discussion is basically to highlight the fact that the human brain was given to man as a gift of God, and it is very unique, and it is basically shows us very clearly that we are basically created very special by God. The idea of the Bible is, one thing I like about the Bible is I love looking at the different names that God has in the Bible. He's called Father, and he's called the Lord, and he's called King of Kings, and the great I am, and the Alpha and the Omega. So a lot of different names, and in fact, the names of Jesus are equally or more fascinating in some respects. But what God did was He created man in His own image, and that image is not very well described in the Bible. God is looked at as a fire or a cloud or an unapproachable light, but we don't really know what the being in the image of God is, really. Some people think that it might be the spirit or the soul that we have, and I'm not positive. But I always looked at the idea that one of the great links that we have with God is the intellect that He gave us. The intellect through our human brain, which is totally unique in all of creation. And as far as we know, we're the smartest things that ever existed in the universe. The idea of in His image is important because in His image we are able to comprehend God, we're able to see God, we're able to believe in God, and we're able to basically maybe even love God. The idea that humanity knows, I mean, I think, therefore I am. We know we exist. And we also know we are, as far as we know, the smartest things that exist in the universe. We're still looking, but as far as we know, that is the case. And we have basically studied in a lot of things. Einstein put together his theory of general relativity, and he kind of looked at how gravity and energy and mass are related and tried to help us understand a little bit about creation of God. The fact that we can look through the Hubble telescope and look at stars that are billions of light years away, and we know more about the stars, believe it or not, than we do about our own human brain. The human brain that is in every single human being, some 8 billion of us or so that are running around every day. So it's kind of strange that the human brain is one of the great mysteries that really isn't very well studied in some ways. I mean, the recent studies of the human brain have been fascinating, and I'll get into that a little bit later. The idea that God created us for His pleasure and for His companionship is really important to me, because as if I were creating, I would not want to create a companion that is pretty mindless. So this makes God's gift of the human brain not only unique, but very special. And it's something that I think we take for granted, that definitely science takes for granted. Science looks at human beings as just another animal. And we basically are another animal that is much, much smarter than any other animal that we know. And this is God's gift to us. This is God's unique characterization of humanity. And that uniqueness is very important because we can conceptualize who God is. We can immediately have an idea who we are too. This great consciousness awareness that science, or the psychiatrists and everybody talks about, the id or the identity problems that we have. That is amazing. We recognize that we are alive. We recognize that we exist. We recognize that we can see things around us and interact with things around us much better than any other animal ever could or even come close to. But we also can conceptualize in God. We can also reason and discern. And we can believe in God, and we can receive eternal life because we believe. And it is an important part of trying to really have a relationship with the Lord. I think there was a saying that said that the mind is a terrible thing to waste. And along those lines, there's a song from Yento that Barbara Streisand sings. It says, "Why have a mind if not to reason why?" And the thing that I relate to is that I have this mind so that I can seek and I can find God.